Love was a Netflix original series that aired for 3 seasons, starting in 2016 and ending in 2018. The series starred Gillian Jacobs as Mickey and Paul Rust as Gus. The show itself was more of a real view of relationships and the realities of dating from both the male and female perspective. It has a topsy-turvy outlook on how relationships begin, grow over time, and the manner in which men and women can begin to view their significant other as the relationship progresses. Overall, I enjoyed the show, but when I look back and think about it, it was definitely something that took me a long time to kind of get through. I watched the first season upon release, but by the time the third season came out, I watched 2 episodes and didn't watch the last 8 until about 2 years later. So yeah, it took a bit of time. I thought the series was fun and real. I like it, and something that everyone can relate to in one way or another. That it was very, very grounded in what the story was trying to tell. And I only recently found out when looking up things ahead of doing this that Gillian Jacobs is actually teetotal. She's sober. She's never drank, and considering her character Mickey is an alcoholic, she acted extremely well. I never would have expected that. And she's someone I knew from her time on Community, and was actually the reason I turned on this show in the first place. And the title was obviously very interesting, but you don't know what it's about. But I trusted Jacobs and her choices when it comes to being and things. Playing Mickey gave her the chance to flex her comedic muscles and get into that Netflix kind of industry. She's been in some original films since, demonstrating that this probably was a good career move for her. We got to see her comedic skills, ability to be serious, and how she was able to immerse herself in a character that is far and away from who she actually is as a person. Paul Rust, as I mentioned, played Gus. He's an actor I'd never seen before. I knew nothing about him, and to be honest, even now I don't really know a whole lot. I don't think he fitted the role of Gus, and that is probably more to do with the writing in general. As the audience is technically meant to be rooting for Gus throughout the show, when it comes to his relationship with Mickey, that she's with him only because he's the nice guy and the opposite of what she'd normally go for. But I found while I was watching Gus, he only had a few redeeming qualities, and he doesn't come across as the type of person who is amazing. And I definitely preferred Jacob's character and was always hoping for things to work out for her with anybody other than Gus. But of course they were always tied together. Claudia O'Doherty played Bertie, who, honest to God, for 2.5 seasons I was convinced was called Birdie. That's how long it took. Yeah, I'm special sometimes. She was like a ray of sunshine on the show. She was someone who'd moved from Australia in search of the bright lights of LA, and she always did amazing, had fun, and was a bit of just an all-around laugh, really. The character she played was Mickey's roommate for times throughout. The show was positively reviewed by critics and audience members alike, with the biggest praise going towards the cast. Since the show was centred around relationships, the cast were going to have the biggest job to play throughout it, and if they weren't up to scratch, there was going to end up being a disconnect between the fans, the characters, and the story that it was trying to tell. I think everyone who watched the show was able to identify with at least one person and their traits or their ideas or what they were going through. A lot of people are inclined to agree that the best part of the show was Jacobs. She carried it, and she was able to portray all aspects of Mickey's personality without compromising any of the show, while also making the audience feel like they were involved. And got the show to, get to where it needed to get to that little bit quicker. At the time, Netflix kind of used to drag out their stories. Now they cancel things like there's no tomorrow, but back then the dragging of everything is why we ended up with 3 seasons. If I remember correctly, it was 10 episodes a season, so 30 episodes, about 40 minutes runtime. It was too long. There were issues for the character of Gus in general. We as an audience know who he's meant to be in terms of feelings and opinions, but sometimes it just misses the mark. We know he's meant to be nice, kind, and a step up for Mickey, but it just never comes across that way to me. And I think that's just the insecurities that they give him and the way that he kind of acts. It does make you question how involved does he really want it to be. The good thing, though, is the show was never cancelled by Netflix, so we knew the 3rd season was always going to be the end. They had the opportunity to create an ending for the audience that they would be able to appreciate, look back on, and wrap it up correctly. And we got a show that was grounded in realism, how relationships evolve over time. We had a wedding. Gus and Mickey are able to decide what it is they want to do with their life. we spent 3 seasons seeing them ebb and flow back and forth, and if they truly want to be together. But I think they kind of made a mistake with the ending. The ending they gave us was an ending based on the fact that it is a show, or in this case a show, could have been a film, that they wanted to give an ending that the audience can be satisfied with. And while that is great for some elements, if you have ever seen or read Normal People, they're similar but very different. But the ending to Normal People is so ambiguous that people clamour to know more. We'll never get to know more how that ends, but in this scenario we got to see an ending, and it's just not something that we expected. And I don't know, maybe that's why we can be unhappy or pass comment about it, but it's not the ending I probably would have written for them. But that doesn't take away from what the show gave. I think if you rework what the ending was in your brain a little bit, you're able to appreciate the nuances that the whole series gave you.